Okay, good evening, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. Let me know if you guys can hear my audio and see my screen in the chat box. Just give me a little Y or yes there. Just let me know that it is indeed working. Hope everybody's had a fantastic evening so far. Hopefully your Wednesday's going pretty well. It's fun to see a lot of you guys this morning in the live trading, and I'm excited to host this webinar. We do this webinar once a month. This is how to pass a prop firm challenge and grow a small account class. I've taken all of your suggestions, got those added into the slideshow today. I hope I got them all. If I didn't, I apologize. I think I got them all though. And uh, and I'm excited to have a good discussion and kind of talk about the ins and outs of the prop firm industry because there's so many and it's changing all the time, right? Um, well, awesome. Let's go ahead and jump into this. And like I said, just want to welcome everybody here and also want to extend a warm welcome to those watching this in the recording. Want to say hello to you guys, welcome you to the program, welcome you to the webinar. If you guys have questions throughout the webinar, feel free to put those questions in the chat box or comments in the chat box, and we'll get to those questions as soon as I can. I'll probably just finish what I'm talking about, and then when I have a moment, I'll answer your question. But let's go ahead and get started. As always, I need to go over our disclaimer. You can lose all or more than your initial investment if you're not careful. So please be aware of how many pips you're risking on each trade, in addition to how big your lot size is, and ultimately how that would affect your account if you were to lose money. So make sure that you're going through that process each and every time that you take a trade. All right, guys. So before we jump into the specific prop firms that we're reviewing tonight, I do want to make sure that because we get new people joining the program every day, and I want to make sure that we cover what prop firms are. So for some of you, this is very much old hat information, but I do need to cover this. This is even part of our disclaimer, so I need to make sure that I cover the basis of prop firms, what they are, the pros and cons just generally of prop firms, what their motivations are, especially in the business world, so that you can decide if those motivations line up with yours. And then from there, we can jump into the specifics of the prop firms that we're outlining tonight. So first of all, what are prop firms? Proprietary trading firms. These are companies that will give successful traders, not just successful traders, they'll give any trader, anybody willing to give them money to pay an audition fee uh, to get access to larger sums of capital. I get people all the time, they come to me and they say, "Hey, Steve, I want to learn the skill. I want to learn how to trade. You're a good trader. You've got a scanner. This is really cool. How do you do this? I want to do this." But the thing is, they'll come to me and they'll be like, Steve, with the way things are in my family or the way things are in my financial sphere, I just don't have the funds to trade, right? They come to me and say, "Hey, it looks like if I want to make a full-time income, I'm going to need to get some more capital. It's very hard to make a full-time income with just a couple $1,000s, right? You need to get access, get your hands on a little bit more money, honestly, to be able to make a full-time income. And truly, if you want to do this full-time to the point where this is absolutely replacing a salary, you're probably want to get your hands on at least six figures at some point, maybe multiple six figures, depending on your budget and financial needs, right? And that's a lot of money, right? Like that's hard to do if you don't have that saved up already. And the other thing too is even if you did have that kind of those kinds of funds saved up, the question is, would you want to fork those over into a forex brokerage account to trade? That's a big risk, especially if it's something you've never done before, right? So that's where this prop firm industry comes from, is they fulfilled a need, a big need in the trading world. They solved a big problem, and they are currently solving a problem. There are obstacles in the way. The prop firm industry is still very, very new. That is one of the risks of the prop firm industry, is because there's still very much unknown. A lot of companies coming out who want to help solve this problem, um, and and I feel like a lot of prop firms want to solve the problem, not necessarily to solve the issue, but more so to make an extra buck, right? And that's something that's why we do this class, is to help give you some more information on whether or not this is something you want to participate in or not, and which companies you want to participate in, because not all of them are very good companies. So basically, now that we've discussed kind of the problem and the problem that they're solving in the industry, let's talk about the history of it, and also um, how you can get access to this capital. So prop firms have been around for mainstream prop firms have been been around for almost a decade. Okay, like FTMO is one of the older ones. The 5%ers, they've been around for quite a while. You've also got I actually worked for a company. I worked for a prop firm, actually here in Utah. They were very small. They fund people, couple $1,000s, $10,000. Some of the biggest accounts I saw when I was working there got up into, well, I better not say exactly how much, but there were some bigger accounts. I just don't know if it was in the six figures. It wasn't very common, at least. Whereas these prop firms, the ones we're reviewing tonight, that's kind of the standard is the six-figure range. And who knows, the company I used to work for, maybe they're doing that now, but I don't really talk about them specifically in this webinar, but they've been around, and I can tell you, even when I was working there, it's changed quite a bit. Those guys have changed. These guys that we're going to review tonight, they have changed. Um, um, and sometimes for the best and sometimes not so much for the best, right? And we're going to talk about that. Um, So it's a relatively new thing. Like trading's been around for a long, long time, right? In fact, technically trading goes around ever since people traded things with each other, right? Um, Forex trading, as far as a retail trading space, has been around for several decades. Pretty much since people have had access to computers, people have been trading Forex, and that has changed quite. The last major change in Forex, I think, goes back to 2008 after the Dodd-Frank Act. And we've pretty much been under those regulations and rules here in the United States since 2008. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of the history of prop firms. They've been, I would say 50% of all the prop firms that have been around have come out in the last 2 years, right? So that's how new it is, right? Um, Perhaps more, maybe in the last 1 year. I mean, there's prop firms. Here's an interesting thing also, by the way. There's a couple of prop firms that have gone out of business, or a couple of prop firms that have been litigated, and it's interesting because that is something that a lot of people are fearful of, and I understand that fear there, but it is important to understand that there are more prop firms coming out every day than there are those that are leaving the industry. Because again, like I said, this is a major problem that the industry has is the access to capital, and these guys want to solve it. It's an awesome problem to solve, but again, we just have to find the right companies who appear to have your interest in mind as well as theirs, obviously. So let's jump into this. So let's talk about the rules of prop firms. So when we're applying for a prop firm challenge, basically when you go to a prop firm, they'll give you options. They'll say, hey, we'll give you an evaluation challenge, some kind of audition, where if you can show that you're a successful trader trading in a demo account, some kind of simulated account environment, if you can show that you're a successful trader and pass their metrics, they'll give you access to, like I said, the six figures of funding. Um, and if you can follow it within the metrics and within the rules that they prescribe, you're good to go. That's easier said than done, right? Obviously, there's a lot more that goes into it, but these are some of the general rules. So most prop firms out there that do two-step challenges, this is kind of your standard traditional challenge. There's one steps instant funding challenges. There's even three-step challenge funded accounts you can look at. Two steps is kind of the standard, right? So we also call it two-phase challenges. Okay. So this is kind of your typical prop firm challenges. You'll get like a 10% or an 8% max drawdown. Some places will go up to 12%, I've seen, meaning that when you take trades, they give you some room to navigate your position. But if you lose more than 10% of your account, you fail the challenge, that audition. It's just like let's say I when I was playing football, I would try out, apply, I'd try out for the football team, right? And these were big deal. For me, football was a big deal. I played football through high school, um, and it was a big, big deal to me. And so it was really important that I did well, because if you didn't, there's other guys that would want to make the team, and if you didn't make the team, then that's it, you're done, right? And that wasn't an option for me. So I did everything I could to always make the team. And that's basically what you're doing here is you're just like, okay, well, we got to make sure that we do this, we got to do this, we got to do this to make sure that we get on the team and get access to this kind of level of funding. So, so obviously people make mistakes. You're going to have losing trades. Not every system's perfect. They recognize that. You recognize that. So, like I said, the standard is 10%, but you always have to check to see which prop firm, has different rules. Some prop firms don't give you 10%. Some of them give you, something much tighter than that, um, where the drawdown's only 6% or 8%, right? So you got to pay attention to that before you sign up for a prop firm challenge. Most places will give you a 5% daily drawdown. I've also noticed, I don't know if you guys have seen this recently, but a lot of prop firms are not even having daily drawdowns anymore. They're just giving you just one drawdown. It's just, here's your absolute drawdown. It's 10% or it's 8%. And and they're just getting rid of daily. So I've noticed that's been a recent, like in the last couple of months, it's been seems like a new trend in the prop firm industry is to not even have a daily drawdown, which is kind of cool. I mean, I don't think that really affects us in the way we trade very much because, when we use the scanner, um, I usually don't even risk more than 3% on any prop firm account for the entire week. So it's impossible. In theory, it's impossible that I would ever hit that daily drawdown or max drawdown because when I use the lot size calculator and put in the stop loss, its max is 3%, right? And by the way, on a side note, if you struggle with that and your risk management, let's meet together. Let's make sure that we do that. Um, Usually on Fridays, I'll teach everybody how to take the trades in the coming week. And I'll show you how I manage risk and kind of go through the lot size calculator and everything like that. We did a pretty good webinar on Friday if you're new to the program and you need some extra help on figuring out how to take those trades and so on. That's a good webinar. Most places have a minimum of 5 trading days. This usually isn't a big deal because most of us are going to take trades more than, we're going to trade longer than 5 days total. And with our strategy, we're kind of the slow and steady approach. We're going to take our time. We're going to take 1 to 3 months, 1 to 4 months typically to pass. Sometimes it takes longer. And I mean, and I don't want you guys to feel like if you haven't passed your challenge in 4 months that, you know, that you've done anything wrong. In fact, most people are just going to fail their challenge in the first few weeks or the first month. So if you're hanging on to your challenge and you haven't passed in 4 months, that's totally okay. That's why they give you unlimited time. It's a hard thing to do, right? It's a hard thing to be consistent consistently, right? Um, but that's what I'm aiming for typically with the scanner signals weekly. Um, I'm aiming to pass the challenge in 2 to 3, maybe 4 months is kind of what I'm looking at. Um, so some places out there will try to pass your challenge in like a day, and I that's actually possible. I've actually passed challenges in a day or two, but I've had to take somewhat extortionate risks to get it done because if you're trying to make 10%, which is usually the standard, um, to make 10% in a day, that's very, very difficult. I mean, no, it's actually not that difficult, but the risks of getting it done is very high. And so the chances of failing a prop firm challenge is pretty high. I know there would be people out there that would argue me on that. That's okay, but I'm just the reason why I say that and I understand that it's possible. So for those of you listening that know it's possible, I hear you. I know that it's possible. I've done it before. I don't apply that route of trying to pass my challenge in a day or two or even a week because that style is proven to not be sustainable over a long period of time. So why would you even start trading that way if it's not sustainable? So that's the way I look at investments. That's the way I look at trading is I only do things that I know that I could sustain. I want to be doing things today that I know I'll be doing in 10 years. I want to do things today that I know I'll be doing in 20 years, right? So if I start down a route of a trading style that would never be sustainable in the long term, but might work today, I just don't have anything to do with it. It's the same reason why I don't go down to Vegas and gamble, because I might be able to make some money today doing that. But could I do that in 10 years consistently? No, there's no way. They're going to win eventually, right? So I don't try to do things that um, the only thing I do today is what I know I'll be doing in the future, right? So anyway, that goes along with the minimum trading days. That's usually not a big deal because with the style of trading that we subscribe to, you're going to be trading longer than that anyways. Most places require a 10% target in phase one and a 5% profit target in phase two. So it's a total of 15%. Some places do like a 8% profit target in phase one, then 5% in phase two. We're going to actually look at a couple of places tonight that do that. That's kind of nice because you can pass your challenge pretty quickly. If it's only 8%. If you have 2 or 3 good weeks with the scanner, you could probably hit that 8% just using standard settings. You could probably get that done. 5% as well is very, very possible. That's with two-phase challenges. We're going to actually look at a prop from tonight that only does one-phase challenges, and they only have a 10% profit target, and then you're done. Then you're funded, which is kind of cool. We're going to look at them tonight. They have some pros and cons that we must look at, and I'll try to show those to you and identify what those are before we kind of I want you guys to know like it kind of one of the things I wanted to actually mention before we move on to the next slide is that a lot of the times when a prop firm gets you excited about a particular role and they kind of lure you into um, like their new style of trading, their prop firm. Usually there's a catch, right? So that's what I've noticed. So I try to lay it out. That's what we're going to do tonight is I'm going to show you highlight a couple of companies that have some pretty cool things, and you're going to decide if it's worth it to you. But it's also important to understand there's usually some kind of like con that is not expressed necessarily outright on their website. You have to kind of go dig for it. And I'm not going to even show, like, I've done my best to do some research. There's probably pros and cons that I haven't even researched on each company that we're going to look at. So just keep that in mind that, I try to be as partial as I can. I try to look at every detail, but at the end of the day, it is still your responsibility to do your own homework beyond what I'm sharing with you. Another thing I just want to say before we go on to the next couple of slides, I don't necessarily endorse any of the companies we're going to look at. I'm just sharing information. I might say things like, oh, this is kind of cool. I like this particular rule that they have, or I don't like particular things, but I don't necessarily endorse and um, like I'm not for or against any of these companies. Um, yeah, I just want to make sure that's very clear. Um, so, it's kind of up to you at the end of the day to decide if you want to do it. I will show you, a couple companies that I might be interested in. There's even a couple companies I'm not personally interested in, but you might be. So just kind of know that that's kind of how I review things. So let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so the first company we have here is Lark Funding. This was brought into us a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to just highlight these guys. Now, I will tell you, so today I went onto their website. Their website was down actually today. So I was actually trying to finish up my work with studying these guys, and their site was down all day. I tried at different hours. It was just completely down all day. Again, so if Lark Funding's watching this, no, like I'm not trying to take you down or anything like that. I'm not trying. I've never bought up challenge with you guys if you guys are watching this, but I'm just reviewing this because this is just what I'm going off of today. So I'm sure your site is normally up, but anyway, their site was down. But let's talk about some of the good things about these guys. So Lark Funding, first of all, they've been around since January 2023. Their headquarters is in Singapore. So they're pretty new. Like they've been around a year, and that you can't really blame them too much because that's kind of just how most prop firms are. Um, Personally, though, I'm not a big fan of sign up with prop firms unless they have at least 2 years. Okay. I know that's still not a long period of time, but I feel like a lot of companies after a couple of years are able to work out a lot of their bugs. But when you're talking about longevity, that's only a few months or even just a year, I mean, I will tell you with myself, like running my company, I've been trading and I've run Trading with Steve since 2020. And every year it feels like I just get exponentially better at the things that I do and the way that I'm able to service my clients and so on. So longevity does matter, right? Like it really does. Like everything I do today is night and day difference, and the things that I'm able to offer is so different from what I was able to do a year ago. And so when I see that these guys have only been out on a year, that does bother me a little bit. But again, I mean, what do they do? I mean, it's just like, um, I mean, I can't change the date from when they were established. I'm just telling you like it is. So they offer up to $1 million in funding, which is super awesome. You can actually, the way it works with these guys, you can just pick any account that you want. You just, do you want a $5,000 account, which is, by the way, their lowest account, which is kind of nice because if you don't have a lot of funds and you want to try them out with a very small account, you could try them out for a very small fee for the $5,000 account audition. If you wanted to go big, you could go for their $1 million account. So they do have quite the list of different accounts that and quantities that you can apply for. It's not like you're limited to just a 100K account or a 200K account. They've got room for everybody, which is kind of cool. Um, they offer a 3-step challenge, and this is something I really wanted to dive into today, but I wasn't able to because, again, their site was down. So I was actually quite curious to know about how their 3-step challenge worked. And I thought, okay, well, their site's down. Let me go look it up on YouTube to see if anybody's reviewed their 3-step challenge. Again, they're so new and they have so few people that have applied with these guys that I couldn't even find a YouTube video that explained how their 3-step challenge worked. So I do apologize. I'm hoping that we can give these guys a little bit more justice next time because I just couldn't get any information on it. It just it's too bad. I was able to find other information, so we're going to continue on here. But they do offer a 1-step and 2-step evaluations, which is kind of cool. They have a 90% profit split, 0 minimum trading days. Real quick thing, guys, I want to just mention, I should have mentioned this in the previous slide, but when you look at 1-step and 2-step challenges, the reason why people are attracted to 1-step challenges is because it eliminates the 2-step. Like you don't have to do phase 2 because there's only phase 1. Now, what's the pro and con to a phase 1 challenge? And this is pretty much universal when you're looking at prop firms. What's the biggest pros to a 1-step? Biggest pro is you're done as soon as you're done with phase 1. Pretty cool. That's really the biggest pro. There's a few others surrounding it, but there's some cons that come with it, and they're pretty big cons. Usually 1-step challenges cost more money. Okay, so you're gonna have to, yep, you got it, Bill. Exactly. Yep, you got it just as I was saying it. Yep. Yep, they cost more money. So that's probably the biggest con is that they're going to try to get more money, and so you have a little bit more pressure to pass your challenge, on the first phase because that's like you have no choice but to pass. If you fail on a 2-phase, you still lose money, but it's not like you lost as much money as a 1-phase. Okay, that's one issue. The second issue, and to me, that this is actually the biggest issue, is that as far as trading rules, they're a lot more stingy. There's stringent trading rules in terms of phase 1 challenge. So if you try to pass, like a lot of phase 1 challenges I've seen have a max drawdown of like 5%, 6%, 4%. I don't remember what it is for these guys. Oh no, I've got it. I got it listed here. It's 4%. That's bad. Yeah, it's 4% max. Well, that's the daily, and then they have an overall drawdown is 5%. So that's actually pretty bad. Um, I don't know if that's different for their 2-phase. Again, I wasn't able to go on their website to see if they bump that up for their 2-phase. I'm assuming that they do. I'm thinking the numbers I have there on the con section is probably just limited to the 1-phase challenge. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt there. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Hey traders, it's Steve from the future. I hope you have enjoyed this video so far. If you are getting value out of this video, be sure to hit the like button, click the subscribe button, and share your trading thoughts. I read all the comments, so feel free to ask any questions you have there too. On a side note, I host live trading calls like this one you are watching every day. Some of my biggest trading secrets I share exclusively to just the members in my program. I host these live trading calls every day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. I also host a basic training webinar every Monday for the newer traders and the regular COT report and sentiment trading webinars every Wednesday night at 8 and 9 p.m. Eastern for the advanced and aspiring traders. All of these calls are recorded and promptly posted on the members' trading calendars at the conclusion of each call in case your schedule does not permit you to come to the live call. All of my members have complete access to the scanner. We call it Steve Scanner. This is an institutional grade trade alert scanner that picks the direction of the week on all 28 major currency pairs and includes trading instruments like gold, silver, NAS 100, US 30. Just in the last 90 days, I have made over 3,000 pips just taking the top trade signals from the scanner at the beginning of the week and then just holding those trade alerts until Friday. If you want access to the scanner, you can start a 14-day free trial with the join link in the description to get started. Lastly, if you really want to be a full-fledged VIP member of my program to get access to things like the basic training course, live signals channel, Steve's scanner, trading calendars, and the one-on-one calls with me throughout the month, you can use code YouTube50, that's YouTube50, no spaces at checkout, and save $50 on your first month. Again, just click the link in the description below and apply that coupon to become a VIP member, and I look forward to helping you with your inevitable trading success going forward. Now, back to the video.
Okay, and that 90% profit split, that is super generous, super awesome. Most places are 80%, so pretty cool. Zero minimum trading days, so you could technically pass on just a couple of trades, which is kind of cool. Um, yeah, you could get funded pretty quickly with these guys, it looks like, from what I can tell. Now, there are a lot of cons with this company, and I even saw some things on the internet today that I was very unimpressed with, and we'll talk about some of those things. So they have an equity-based drawdown. That's actually kind of a standard thing across the industry, but I'm going to continue to label it as a con because it is a con. Because there are places out there that don't have equity-based drawdowns, and these do. For those that don't know what an equity-based drawdown is, let's talk about the couple of different drawdowns. So we'll spend a little bit more time on this slide here, guys, just because I need to cover some bases so that everyone who's new to prop firms and equity and this verbiage knows what we're talking about. Okay, so a equity-based drawdown is basically a drawdown where, let's put it this way. Let's give you an example. Let's say you have $100,000 account. This $100,000 account, you have a successful week and you make $5,000. Okay, congratulations. You've made $5,000 on 100 grand. That's fantastic. But then the next week um, actually, before back up, you make $5,000. Your max drawdown is 10%, let's say. Let's say it's 10. With these guys, it's only 5%, it looks like. So initially, when you started this challenge, you have a $100,000 account. Your max drawdown is at 95K. So if you go below $95,000, you're toast. You've lost your challenge fee and you failed your challenge. It really stinks when that happens, right? But it happens to the best of us, right? But I just wanted to let you know that that's what would happen if you guys lost with these guys. Is if you went below 95,000, you would fail your challenge. Okay. So let's say you have a good week. It's one of those weeks where, by Wednesday, you've made all your money. It's just been a great week and you close your trade, you're up $5,000 and you close. Since it's an equity drawdown, what that means is that that $95,000 doesn't stay stationary at 95,000. It's now trailed you. It's an equity base, so it now moves up, and you are now at $100,000 as your max loss. So if you were to have a losing week, to the tune of, let's say you lost that $5,000, which we hope to not happen, but what if it did? So you lose that $5,000, you go back down to 100K, even though you're back at your baseline, you haven't lost them a dime. You haven't lost a dime technically because that was your baseline. You failed the challenge because it's an equity-based drawdown. So I don't really like that kind of thing. I'm okay with an equity-based drawdown if they give you a handsome just overall absolute drawdown to begin with. But if they're only going to give you 5%, and then still do an equity-based drawdown, to me, that's a scam, actually. Now, again, I got to be careful. I don't want to say that they are. I don't know that. And again, I don't know if that only applies to one phase or the two-phase challenge. But if it is across all of their one phase and two phase, I probably would never touch these guys, to be honest, because you do need, if you're going to have an equity-based drawdown, if you're going to sign up for a prop firm with them, personally, I would never do it unless I was given, I would never do an equity-based drawdown unless I was given a bigger absolute drawdown. Okay, so you got to look at those two things. What kind of drawdown is it in the first place? Is it balance based? Or, which we also call just a fixed drawdown, and that's what I loved about FTMO. FTMO did this. It was just, it's 10% max drawdown. And if you lost, you'll say you made some money and lost money, that's house money. You get to work with that plus the allotted drawdown, which is amazing. That's not a lot of people are doing that anymore. And it's really becoming a frustrating thing, in my opinion. Um, and but if you do find a prop firm that does a balanced based or what we call a fixed drawdown, those are gold prop firms, in my opinion, depending on other variables, obviously, but that's a really important factor. Okay. All right. So I couldn't find a lot of reviews, guys. You can see I've posted that down here. You can see Lark Funding only has 281 views on Trustpilot. That's not good. That's really just not that good. It's pretty decent though. I mean, 4.7 stars out of 5. That's not bad, but it's only 281 views. They totally could have just purchased those reviews when it's that few of reviews. I'm not saying they did. I'm not alleging that or accusing them of that. I have seen other companies do that with very few reviews. So I'm just saying that it's a possibility, but I do not know if they have done that. Okay. It's a very small company. There's a guy named Matt. They have a YouTube channel. You can actually go check it out. That is a pro. I didn't mention that, but it is a pro. They have a YouTube channel. They've got like 3,000 subscribers, so it's a little smaller, but nonetheless, it's cool. Pretty neat YouTube channel. This guy named Matt that runs it. He's the CEO of this company. I will tell you though that today I was on their Trustpilot reviewing some of the reviews, both positive and negative. There was somebody just today who wrote a negative review. The CEO, Matt, he responded, and I was very, I will say this, disgusted with the way that he treated this ex-customer. Just he called the customer a liar on the internet for everyone to publicly see, and I'm not a fan of that. I just am not a fan of that. I don't think you should call out your customers, even if you think they're not right. So I was actually kind of surprised that this guy just didn't keep it to himself and he just publicly went out there and accused his own customer. So I was not a big fan of that. So anyway, I'm just going to point that out, and I am going to say that in case he sees this, because again, don't do that to your customers. I'm not a big fan of that. So it really put a bad taste in my mouth with these guys. And it just kind of just makes me not want to trust them if they've only been around for such little bit of time and it doesn't appear that they're being very good to their customers. It also kind of makes me think that some of these reviews might not actually be real if that's like when real customers come along saying something not so nice about the company and then they come back and chase them out of the door after they're already gone. Right. Anyway, so another thing too, guys, so I told you about the drawdowns. Their prices are actually really, really high. So again, I'm just their $1 million account costs $7,000. You can actually find $1 million accounts with other prop firms that are around 4,500 is the standard. $5,000 to $4,500 for $1 million account is kind of what you should be looking at. So this is a little bit high, actually quite a bit high. I probably would not want to go with and I compared like their 50K challenge was $400. That's kind of high for a 50K challenge. Um, I think most 50K challenges are around 300. They're like 297. Most other places, 299 is what you're looking at for a 50K. Um, so to be $400, I was like, yeah, that's on the high end. Also, their dashboard looks, I think it's pretty cool if Matt made this, so I'll give Matt a little prop. But the thing is, it's just like, I don't know. This is their dashboard right here. I took a picture. I found it online. That's what it looks like, and it's just I don't know. That's kind of confusing to me. I don't. I guess this is your daily loss limit, max drawdown, equity. It seems archaic. Okay, I don't. I just any other way to put it, but I mean, cool. If it, I applaud the guy if he did it by himself. Um, I applaud the guy if he did it himself. But yeah, hopefully they can, if they're charging such high prices, hopefully they can afford something a little bit better for the client. Um, Lee says that looks like top tier before they updated their back office. Here's an interesting thing about prop firms too. Yeah, it looks like it's from the 2000s. So I actually looked into this because I thought about starting my own prop firm. I'm being a little bit cautious. I honestly don't know if I want to do that because I uh I like the what I do. I feel like my lane is really good. I'm educator. I have a strategy. I'm a trader myself, so I don't feel like I'm out to make a prop firm, at least not yet. I considered it. And so when I was considering it, I actually got a hold of a company that they create software. It's like a template software where you can create your own prop firm. You just pay them, 15,000, $20,000, and then they'll give you like subleasing, sublet rights to their software. I wouldn't be surprised if this is it. If you said that this is looks similar to what top tier used to look like, it's probably because it's the same software. I wouldn't be surprised. Again, I don't know if that's the case with these guys, but that is actually one of the reasons why there's so many prop firms popping up every day is because they've made it for people like me to just actually go out there and create their own prop firm. There's actually companies out there that will sublease the templates, the dashboards out to other companies for them to build and implement and widget onto their website. Kind of interesting. It's a plug and play type of thing. Absolutely. 100%. Okay. So again, I hate to, I will say this was a little bit more of a negative low light of my research today, but um, they have some highlights, so I'll give them that. But I would say for me, I probably wouldn't use this prop firm. But again, they have 4.7 stars, and apparently there's at least 281 views. There's probably somebody that does like them, so maybe they are okay. Let's talk about FTUK. So this is one I had several people ask me about these guys. This is kind of a cool company. I'll just say right off the bat. They have some interesting things. So let's hurry up here. We got to hurry up on the time here. So they do FTUK is a company in England. They've been around since February 2021. That makes me feel a little bit better. It's now 2024. So these guys are coming up on their third anniversary this February, which is actually a good thing. Um, that is good to see. Um, by the way, just a little something I want to show you guys. Again, I'm not alleging this. I'm just trying to show you with FTUK, their reviews are not as good, and they actually have fewer reviews than Lark. So what gives? So why have they been around? It could be that Lark has just grown that fast, but I also think it again, I'm not alleging this. I'm just saying that there's a possibility that these reviews might be more authentic and the other reviews from Trustpilot might actually be not necessarily all authentic. Um, just because why is one 3 years older and in from what I've heard is more popular in the industry than Lark. I had never heard of Lark before, but they have more reviews than FTUK. It just something's not adding up. I just want to just point that out that just Trustpilot is not as I don't want to again, I'm not saying this about Trustpilot either. It's just that you can't always go off of Trustpilot unless you have thousands of reviews. Okay, let's just put that out there the way it is. Like something like FTMO has like 17,000 or 11,000 reviews. That's hard to fake. Okay. I just wanted to point that out. Okay, let's continue with these guys. So they do single evaluation instant funding. They do not, unfortunately, have two-phase challenges, which is a little bit of a bummer. They do an 80% profit share. They fund with real funds, not demo. Yay, right? That's pretty cool. Um, right? They have, so for those that don't know, a lot of companies, when you're funded, they still let you trade in demo, and then they'll just pay you profits on the demo funds that you made. So another company we're going to review in just a moment calls it a performance fee. Um, but these guys actually do fund with real money, which is really, really awesome. That tells me that this company has some money behind it. They do want you to trade successfully because obviously If you're going to get funded, they want you to trade well with the money that they're providing. They basically are a scaling company, by the way. I'm not the biggest fan of scaling. That's a personal thing of mine, but they are a scaling company. They have no minimum trading days. It's 100 to 1 to 100 leverage. Make 10% and done. No more steps beyond stage one. So that's kind of cool. Once you pass stage one, on their single evaluation, you're done. You're ready to move up. Um, you can scale up to almost $6 million. You can have up to three accounts. So you could apply for three different accounts and trade up to 17 million. I can almost guarantee nobody's done that with these guys, but that's what they claim is available. Um, that's pretty cool that you can do that. Again, just another side note, a lot of companies use this as a marketing technique. This is not so much, they don't really plan on anybody getting there. It's just more of a marketing technique. But it is cool that it is an option, right? You can have three different accounts total, for a max of this amount. But you have to, again, you can't apply for that. You have to scale to that. The way their scaling works is you have to make a 10% profit target. Every time you reach a 10% profit target, they every time you reach a 10% profit target, they increase your account by 400%. So whatever your balance is gets increased by 400%. I did look at it though, that's on the first payout, on the first 10% that you make. And then it looks like after you make, once you hit 10%, you collect your profits. And then once you hit 10% again, so it's every other milestone, you then scale up 400% after the first one. So it's a little confusing there. So it does take a little bit of time to scale. It's not like you scale each time you hit 10%. You have to make 10% twice and then you scale 400%, just so you guys know. Confused about the leverage ratio. So basically, 1 to 100 leverage, that's basically just saying that, um, whenever you take a trade, they give you up to 1 to 100. So if you have $100,000 account with these guys, they would give you up to, let's see, 10 million in potential contracts you could take. You could take, I guess, what would that be like? That's so many contracts. That's like 100 contracts. Yeah, that'd be 100 contracts. So you'd never need that. Usually for the type of trading that you and I trade with, I think even like 1 to 10, 1 to 20 is all we need to trade successfully the COT report and the scanner. Um, so I wouldn't worry about the leverage. It's more for a scalper. If you're a scalper, then you'll want bigger leverage. They do allow copy trading and EAs, which is pretty cool. Um, Although they do apparently, don't want you to trade martingale EAs. So, and I think that's pretty common, with most prop firms, is if you use a martingale EA, they won't they'll be frustrated with you and that you'll fail your challenge. Which practically every EA is a martingale EA. So it's like, okay, you can use an EA, but you can't use martingale, and it's like, oh well, okay. Anyway, hopefully that makes sense, Bill, but if it doesn't, maybe I can clarify again. So cons, equity drawdown as per normal. This is becoming normal, and I hate that it's becoming normal because it's not to the benefit of the trader when it's an equity drawdown. They don't have two-step challenge, which also is a bummer because I love two-step challenges. I think that's the way to go. I'd rather trade more than have to pay more for a challenge and do like a one-step or an instant funding. They only allow a max drawdown of 8%. That's another downside, is, you have to keep that drawdown tighter. Oh, this kind of stinks. I was like, why do they do this? And it's just kind of tells me that their software isn't really built up yet, but they you have to email them once you've completed your challenge. You don't just get credentials immediately like FTMO or other places would give you, or bespoke funding or whatever. Those companies will actually email you and say, hey, we noticed you passed your challenge, here's your credentials for the next one. Congratulations. That's not how these guys work. You have to email them and say, I did it. check out my account. Here's my account number, and then they'll go look it up. So anyway, um, so and they have all that money. Yeah, I mean, so this is what they claim. So by the way, Mohammed, so the thing is, a lot of companies, the way they do this is they have a pool of money. Because I worked for a prop firm and we did this too. So they'd have like a pool of money, and they know that they have this many accounts that trade from that pool of money. Okay. And those accounts might be like total more. Credit card companies do this too, by the way. It's the same thing. Credit card, like say you have a credit card and it has a $20,000 limit on it. Okay. And everybody else in the country has a credit card with that company and they have a $20,000 limit. That's going to be trillions of dollars. Does that bank have trillions of dollars? No, but they just don't expect everybody to max out their credit card all at once, right? So they basically give all these like tentacles out. They're like, here's all these credit cards. Here you go, here you go, here you go. And everyone draws on that pool of money into existence, right? As they spend money and then as they pay it back, it goes back into that pool. But it's assuming that not everybody um, maxes out that credit all at once. But if everybody in the country were to take that $20,000 credit card they have and just spend it like crazy, then yeah, there wouldn't be enough money, right? And that's kind of how I think companies like this work. And again, I'm not saying they do this, but I'm suspecting they do because I worked for a company that did this. It's real money. Yes, it's a real tied to a 8 cap, broker, legitimate broker, and there's money behind it, but they don't expect everybody to trade that full amount. So I think that's your question, Mohammed, and that's how they make it work. Okay, we got to move on, guys. If you guys have other questions about them, let me know. And we'll get to them. We just have two more to get through, and then we can wrap up. The next one's Alpha Capital. Okay, so these guys also have been around since 2021. This is cool. They have 1,300 reviews and a 4.6. That's pretty good. I was pretty happy to see that. I was actually pretty impressed with these guys as I was reviewing this company. They have my beloved two-step challenge that I love so much, and so and that's all they do, by the way, as far as I'm aware. They only do two steps. So I was really happy. This is actually a company I was like, I might do this. But let's look at their pros and cons here. So um, no time limit. Obviously, that seems standard now. It's funny because a year ago, that was like a if you would have asked me a year ago like about no time limit challenges, uh, it was not super common to have a no time limit. And now it's just the standard, just like that. In 1 year, no time limit is now the standard. Kind of cool. Um, Zero commission trade. So apparently they don't charge you commission when they take trades. I thought that was interesting. I mean, when they say don't charge you, I guess it doesn't account against the spread. I guess that's what they're saying is no dollar commission costs. Kind of cool, I guess. Might help the scalper a little bit more than us. Doesn't really matter to us as much, I'd say. Um, um, they have a Discord. They have 215,000 traders. That's a lot, guys. That's a lot of people who have tried these guys out. At least so they claim. That's what they say. 180 countries, which is most of the countries. I think there's like 196. Um, I think there's like 196 countries in the world, 194 depending on who you ask. Um, so that's a lot of countries to be in. Um, They allow 5% J drawdown, 10% max drawdown, allows trading over weekends, allows trading through news events, um, offers scaling up to 2 million. I'm not super aware of how their scaling works. I'm sure it's kind of like the others where you just have to make a 10% return and then, they scale it from there. But I don't know if that's how they do it. They seem to have a pretty active community. Like they have a Discord, like I said. They do these trading competitions, which seem pretty cool. So it looks like a place where you could kind of hang out and kind of get involved into a community, which is kind of nice. They do an 80% profit split, which is also kind of standard at this point. Um, some of their cons, again, equity-based drawdown. Again, I hate that that's the direction we're going. I just want to protest that because it is such a thing. I really get turned off by companies that do that. But nonetheless, they do have some pretty good pros here. 3 minimum trading days. A lot of places are now doing 0 minimum trading days, so I think that's why I put that as a con. They only trade on MT5, so you cannot download MT4. It's not available. That's usually not a big deal unless you're using like a copy trader or an EA that requires MT4. But MT5 is not that hard to learn, but um, they only do MT5. So just want to let you know that that's pretty much your only option with these guys. They they call the demo account a virtual performance fee. So like when they pay you the 80% profit split, it's called a performance fee. So if you have success in a demo account, it's a performance fee because these guys do not fund you with real money. It's all demo. It's demo from day one in stage one, demo in phase two, and then it's demo when you're funded. And again, so basically they're only paying you on the sheer fact that they're expecting you to fail. And so when you pass, um, and you make money, they're having to pay out of pocket, from their profits and audition fees to pay you that profit. Um, yeah, it is quite a downside, isn't it? It's quite the bummer. 75% of prop firms do that, by the way. 75 to 80% of them do that, you know. It's uncommon. I will tell you though, there is a pro to a company doing this, by the way. What's the pro to a company? Does anybody know? What's the pro to a company doing demo-based funded accounts? So there's a couple of pros actually. Usually they're not as aggressive with you when you are funded. When you're funded with real money, I've noticed like people like Funded Trading Plus. I love them, by the way. I think they're a great company. Funded Trading Plus, they fund you with real money. But they are a hawk when you're funded, more so than I feel like some of these other companies that fund you with demo. Um, so there are pros and cons to that, but I will tell you though, when I get a funded account check from Funded Trading Plus, it does feel a lot more palpable. Like it seems like I did a service almost, that I made money in that account because now they won and I won, and it's pretty cool. I'm not necessarily being funded. I'm not being paid out by somebody else's audition fee that they miserably failed, right? Because that's what's happening actually, if you think about it, when you're getting funded with a company like this. If you get paid $1,000 or $5,000, you're basically taking the blood, sweat, and tears of somebody who miserably failed a challenge. And that's a real thing. Like if that's a big turnoff to you, I totally get it. It's a turnoff to me. So if you don't want to go with a company like that, I get it. I know a lot of people that's just a deal breaker right there. Um, and that's okay because 20 to 25% of the prop firms out there don't do that. So you just have to find those 20 to 25% that are like that, like FTUK we just looked at, funds with real money right away. So pretty cool, with some of those companies. But yeah, this FTMO does it this way. Alpha Capital does it this way. MyForks Funds did it this way. Um, I have noticed, and maybe this is just me noticing this, but it does seem like companies who trade with real money tend to last longer than those with that fund with fake demo capital. It seems like the regulators don't like this performance fee concept. They're trying to change the verbiage and call it something different, right? So I understand that. And anyway, I'm just again, like I said, I'm just displaying the facts, and I'll let you guys decide what you want to do from there. Is this different? Let's see. Lee says, is this a different, let's see, is this different than Alpha Trader? It might be. And maybe that's my mistake for reviewing these guys. This is what I Googled and this is what came up. So maybe I apologize if I reviewed the wrong company. If I reviewed the wrong company, would you send me a link so I can get it added to the next one? I super apologize if I reviewed the wrong company. That's so funny, actually. Um, Well, there you go. There's Alpha Capital if you're interested. Okay, appreciate you guys being patient with me. Okay, we've actually reviewed this one before, but it was asked to be reviewed again. So let's review it again. This is the Funded Trader. This is actually the only one tonight that we're reviewing that's from the United States. Kind of cool. Um, um, this is a huge company. This is actually one of the biggest prop firms, and they're probably, now that FTMO doesn't service US clients anymore, and MyForex Funds is no longer the United States and anywhere for that matter. Um, this is kind of like one of the standards out there, especially in this country, because in the United States, because it's one of the most reputable ones. It's located here. It's been around since 2021, which again doesn't sound like a long time, but in prop firm years, that's ancient. Um, so they're a cool company. They do 50K to 400K challenges. They have an 80/20 profit split, and they do 90/10 with scaling. Um, Again, I do want to make it clear I'm not a big fan of scaling challenges just because scaling usually requires that you don't get paid. And I'm a big fan of taking whenever you have a profit available, I like you to take those profits because what if that company doesn't exist in a month? Take your profits, at least get your money back. That's the whole point behind the prop firm is to get your money. So that's if you want more funding, I think it's better to apply for more funding rather than scale. That's just me. That's my opinion. Why? Okay. Anyway, they do huge leverage, 1 to 200, and 1 to 100 when you're funded. So 1 to 200 is when you're in demo phase. They offer 100% refund upon payout. Again, that's standard. They're 14% cheaper than FTMO, 4% cheaper than MyForex funds at full price. They overnight weekend positions are allowed. You can pick your broker, which is kind of cool. You can go with 8 cap purple trading, think markets. It can have up to 600K in total prop from capital, which usually is plenty to make a full-time income. Absolutely. They allow trade manager EAs. So they were kind of specific on this. If I remember, they don't allow just any old EA. Um, and then max daily drawdowns 5%. That's standard. That's great. Max total drawdowns 10%. Also great. Then they have a very large Discord channel. Cons to them, again, equity and balance-based drawdown methods. So again, this one's hard to get around because I feel like everybody's doing this now. Um, but it's not necessarily a deal breaker for me at least, but I would sure love it if they got rid of that rule. They have a 30-day withdrawal, first withdrawal after 14 days. Um So your first withdrawal is 14 days after you become funded and make profits. After 14 days, you can get a withdrawal, and then every 30 days, so every month, you can have a withdrawal after that. Like I said, most EAs they do not allow. Funded accounts are still demo. This is just like we talked about with Alpha Trader. So you are funded based off of they're going to give you a demo account and hopefully you can make a profit in that demo account. And then they're going to just pay you basically a loss on their end to pay you. Copy trading is not allowed. They were sneaky on this one, by the way, stating that they allow copy trading so long as the master account. Oh, yes. So I saw this. So basically, if you connect a copy trader to this account, it has to be the designated master account. This was like I had to dive in into the fine print to find this. So dumb. One of the dumbest things I've actually seen. Anyway, so yeah, you if you want to use this as your copy trader, this has to be the master account, and then other accounts that you copy trade would be your slave accounts. But it is kind of cool. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but me living in this country, sometimes I like to trade with companies that are in this country. I feel like I have more leverage on them just because we play by the same rules. Um, but that's just me. Um, I have seen some companies outside of the United States also play by good rules, but it's not always the case. So just because you're one from one country or another doesn't always mean you're more ethical, but at least you have to play by the same rules because those are the rules in this country, right? So anyway, that's Funded Trader. They're pretty cool. All right, guys. So we got to wrap up. I You heard a lot of bad reviews about them. I'm sure they have a lot of bad reviews, but they also do have a 4.5 out of almost 12,000 reviews. So, it just I think it just depends. I think you could say there's bad reviews with every company and good reviews with every company, but I think the only thing that I love about this is the fact that they were able to get that many people to review them. That's pretty significant. Let's see. Nice. Lee likes them doing two challenges. That's pretty cool. Yeah, and they usually have, just so you guys know, they usually have some kind of promotion deal. So actually, I'll wrap up on this. Never pay full price for a prop from challenge, guys. Everybody offers promo codes. Just word of mouth, just spread the word. Most internet things have promo codes. Okay. And if they don't, they're lying. Like everybody has promo codes. When they're making these types of profit margins, like everybody has a promo code. So these guys usually just have it labeled on their site. You can also usually find it by going on YouTube or searching it, get 5 or 10% off. I don't have a promo code with these guys. I'm not an affiliate with them, but I'm sure you could get a discount if you wanted to go with these guys. All right, guys, I got to wrap up. And yes, I do believe they're on all 50 states. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lee, on that, or if anybody else wants to chime in, but I got to wrap up. All right, guys. So hopefully I'll see some of you guys in COT report. But I hope this was helpful, and we'll see you guys in the next webinar. Thanks for coming.